Hi, everybody. We're going to be looking at the coordinate plane today, and this is from Algebra 1, IXL, and the section is G.2 Midpoint Formula. So we're going to use the midpoint formula to find the midpoint, but it's going to be a little more than that, and I'm going to ask you to do a few things along the way. Hopefully it'll all make sense to you. The thing that I really find interesting about coordinate geometry is that every single thing you are seeing right this second is literally a graph. All of the things that you see, me, the background behind me, the IXL, the writing, every single thing that you see is literally a graph on your screen, which is about 1,000 by 2,000 units wide, and it's like 2,000 units wide, 1,000 units tall, and it's this beautiful graph that is being displayed. And everything fundamentally comes down to coordinate geometry and understanding it. So a lot of people ask, well, what good is algebra and especially coordinate geometry? And this is it. So here it is, midpoint formula. Hopefully I didn't get too far off on a tangent for you. And the midpoint formula basically, if you think about midpoint, it's in the middle. And the best way to find a middle is to take the average of two things. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We are going to take the midpoint formula, which is we are going to take the average of the x's. Now, there are two different x values on these two different points, and we have a number of different ways of writing that. We also have two different y values on these points. And the midpoint is the average of the x's. And to get an average, you add things together and divide it by how many of them there are. And there are two of them. And the y values, there is a y1 and a y2. And a lot of people are going to say, well, I'm just going to use the formula and memorize the formula. That's crazy. All you want to do is find what's in the middle. And you take the middle of the two x values and the middle of the two y values, and you're done. So I'm going to go ahead and use the formula the way that I normally do. I write a formula, then I substitute, then I simplify, then I solve. Now, some of my students are going to complain. They're going to say, but you always tell us to make a diagram first, and then write a formula, then substitute, simplify, and solve, which are the 5 problem-solving steps. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you where 9, 2 is located on my graph. 9, 2 is located about here, and 7, 2 is located right there. Now, I'm going to guess that most people can tell me what's right in between those two, and I could be done at that point. Hopefully, you all can see that between 9, 2, which is my point J, and 7, 2, which is my point K, is the point 8, 2. But of course, we're going to use the formula. Sorry, that's a funky looking 8 there. There we go. 8, 2. But we're going to use the formula. So x1 plus x2. Well, this is x1, y1, x2, y2. It doesn't matter which one you label the first point and the second point. I'm going to go ahead and just put them in order. So I have a 9 plus 7. Those are my two x's divided by 2. And I have 2 plus 2 divided by 2. A common error is when people see two numbers that are the same and they want the average, they automatically start thinking of 0.5. So be careful, that's not. We have a midpoint at 9 plus 7 is 16 over 2. I'm going to write it that way. And I have 4 over 2. Simplify this one step at a time. And m is equal to 8, 2, just like we expected. And there's that point in between. So notice that they say to write the coordinates as decimals or integers. And this is at the point where I'm going to tell you later in this section, I'm going to do a lot of these problems in my head. And the reason I'm able to do that is because I can work very quickly, very accurately with integers. And you need to get good at adding and especially subtracting integers. And as we go through these I'll give you reasons why you want to be able to do that. I can get rid of this thing here. There we go. And so we're looking at 8, 2. Oops, sorry. Didn't need to put the comma in there. 8, 2 is my coordinate, and that is the midpoint. Okay, probably way too much information, but I'm going to do the others very quickly, so be prepared. The midpoint, and I'm going to write a little bit on a few of these. I've got 4 plus 2 over 2. That's the sum of my x's. There's an x, there's an x. 6 over 2 is 3, and 8 and 6. What's in the middle of 8 and 6? I'll bet you can figure it out. 8 plus 6 is over 2, and I want what's in between 4 and 2 is 3, and what's in between 8 and 6 is 7. And if I do add these together and divide, it actually works. And I'm looking at 3, 7. Looks like I'm losing my hair today. Not only on Zoom, but in real life. Okay, so now I've got 6, 4. I'm just adding the x's and dividing by 2. I'm adding the y's and dividing by 2. Now this time I have some integers with negatives in them. So I'm going to go ahead and add 0 plus 10 over 2. That's my 2 x's. There we go. And I have negative 10 plus negative 10 over 2. Those are my 2 y values. Well, 0 plus 10 over 2 is 5. And negative 10 plus negative 10 is negative 20 divided by 2 is negative 10. And so my coordinate is 5. Negative 10 is my midpoint. And if you were to look at a picture of this, you would be able to see it, hopefully. This one is going to be 1, 8. I'm just doing it fairly quickly. And this one, we want the average of the x's and the average of the y's, and that's going to be 8, 6. And the average of the x's and the average of the y's. Now this time I've got a little more additions going on, so I'm just going to go ahead and mention a couple of things about this. Now in the future, I'm not going to be doing this on all the rest of the problems. Sorry, it's a positive 2 plus negative 6. Those are my 2 x values over 2. And I have y values 9 plus negative 1 over 2. If you're not absolutely certain of the answer, let me get rid of this for a second. Hang on just a second. I'm just going to fix something. There we go. That looks a little nicer. All right. If you are not absolutely certain of the answer of 2 plus negative 6, and you can't do it instantly in your head, you need to practice. You desperately need to practice. This is the essence of most of the problems in algebra. I've had over 5,000 students, and the ones who have failed have all had the same issues from the very beginning. They can't add their integers. The rule for integers is who wins. That's the only rule you really need to know for adding integers. The negatives win by 4 in the x's, and in the y's, the positives win by 8. That's literally the only rule you need, I promise. It will always work. Sometime you might want to go back and look at my adding integers video and make sure that you know how to add integers. It's very important. Now, from now on, I'm not going to address them quite as much. I'm just going to put the answers in. That is a negative 2, 4 is my midpoint. I'm going to double check it, and it's correct. Yep. Now I'm just going to write the answers in. We've got 8.5. I guess I probably ought to 9.5, sorry. No, I'm just going to write it in. 9.5. And this one's going to be negative 0.5. Now the reason I'm putting in the decimals is because they told me to. I'm not supposed to put in fractions. They didn't want to add the fraction part of this, I think. This one's going to be 7.5 is in the middle. And 18 and 5 is 23, and the middle is 11.5. Oh, I put a comma. There we go. That's going to be 23. Yep, that's 23. All right. Looks like we've got negative 17 over 2, which is negative 8.5. And I've got negative 7 over 2, which is negative 3.5. If you need me to, well, I'll try and do a couple of hard ones if there are any. Negative 18 divided by 2 is negative 9. I'm just adding the x's and dividing by 2. I'm adding my y's. I get negative 17 over 2, which is negative 8.5. Over here. Maybe I'll write this one. I've got negative 16 plus negative 2 and divided by 2. And I've got negative 18 plus 1 divided by 2. The way I like to think of adding negatives, a lot of people look at this and they say, oh, negative 16 plus negative 2 has to be a positive because a negative times a negative is a positive. Well, a negative times a negative is a positive. But when you add negatives, you're talking about owing 16 and then owing 2 more. You end up owing 18. When you divide that by 2, you get negative 9. For this second one, who wins is the negatives. The negatives win by 17. And when you take 17 over 2, you get negative 8.5. So we have our midpoint. The next one is going to be 30, looks like 33 over 2, which is 16.5. That would be 33 over 2 and 5. It's our other midpoint. I added the y's and got 33. I added the x's and divided by 2 and got 5. In this one, we've got negative 15.5. When I add the x's, I get negative 31. When I add the y's, I get positive 7, so it's going to be 3.5. What's underlining over there? I don't know. In this one, looks like I get negative 15 because negative 30 divided by 2 is negative 15 and negative 7 for my y value. Remember, I'm just adding them together and dividing by 2. I'm just going to keep putting the numbers in. Now this one's going to be 33.5. No, it's not. It's going to be 34, sorry. And because I get 68 when I add the x's together. When I add the y's together, I get 99, which is 49.5. Oh, dang it. The problem is I've got all this writing on here. Let me get rid of it. Sorry. There we go. Okay, so 1 and 67 makes 68. Divided by 2 is 34. And then I get 99 when I add the 85 with the 14. And 99 divided by 2 is 49.5. And looks like that's our midpoint. 74 and 15 is 89, which gives me 44.5. And 44 and 28 is 72, and half of 72 is 36. So it looks like, oh, sorry guys, 15 and 74 makes 91, which is 45.5. I don't know why I thought it was 89. There it is. No, it is 89. Oh, God, I can't add today. I had it right to begin with. 74 and 15 is 89, sure enough. There we go. Sorry about that. I'm like freaking myself out. All right, so now we've got 74 and 70. By the way, in between 74 and 70 is 72. And in between 24 and 6 is 15. So for this one, it was easier to just look at the two numbers and determine which one was in the middle between them. And for the y values, it was easier to add them and divide by 2. So whichever is easier, you can use. You can use whichever method seems to work the best for you. For this one, we have negative 18 divided by 2, which is negative 9 for the x values. And for the y values, we're looking at 65. And half of 65 is 32.5. For the x values, it looks like we're looking at negative 112, which would give us negative 56. And that is negative, no, it's not. God, I can't add today. Negative 111, sorry. That is negative 55.5, isn't it? And 27 and 98 is 125, which is 62.5. Now, I've mentioned this before, but a really bad idea is to just grab your calculator and just start pushing buttons. That is a very common answer to this. 5 and 6 makes 11, and 70 and 30 makes 100. And half of 111 is negative 55.5. The 27 and the 98 make 125. It looks like, that looks good to me. And looks like we're in the challenge zone. We're almost done. If there's any really tough ones, oh, we get a decimal. Now, it's a little more challenging with decimals. So I'm going to go ahead and write the sum down. I think on this first one, I'm going to write it all out. So I've got negative 2.9 plus 16, negative 16.3. At this point, a lot of people are going to go ahead and just grab the calculator, turn their brain off. I'm going to go ahead and try and do it in my head. You probably should be able to do the addition in your head. You might need to do the division or halves on the side on occasion. It depends. I just want to make sure I copied the questions right. I did. So this one is going to be negative 19.2 over 2. And this one is going to be 18.2 over 2. Now this second one is easy. The first one is a little more challenging. The first one is going to be negative 9.6 for when you divide that by 2. And the second one is going to be 8.1. You divide that one by 2, and it looks like it's good. Oh no, don't tell me I made a mistake. What did I do? Can I not add today? Oh, what did I do wrong? Oh, 9.1. Oh, I said 18.2, but I didn't do it right. Sorry, guys. Can't divide today. All right. Well, I'm going to get the rest right. 5.5. And this one's going to be 26.5, I believe. Maybe 25.5. 6.5. Because I'm looking at, no, 52. Yeah, 52. That's going to be 26. Okay, looks good. How could I get this wrong? What did I put? I had 20. I said 26.5. How did I get it wrong then? Oh, 53. I can't see very well today. There, I'll use that as an excuse. All right, I'm going to write it down. 145 over 2. That's the sum of my x's over 2. And then the sum of my y's over 2 is going to be 175 over 2. Oh my God, 174 over 2. I am so slow today. I think my brain is turning off. It's going to be 72.5. And this one is going to be 87. If I miss that one, I'm going to start again. Pretend like I never make mistakes. All right, looks like we've got, and I'm going to write it down again. Looks like 75 over 2 when I add my x's. When I add my y's, it looks like I get negative 39 over 2. And 75 over 2 is going to be 37.5. And negative 39 over 2 is going to be negative 18.5, maybe 19.5. Dang, I keep doing that same thing over and over again. There it is, negative 19.5, because I'm one short of 40. There we go. All right, 37.5, negative 19.5. Hopefully I'll quit making errors. And this one is going to be 59 over 2. And the other one is going to be 72 over 2. That's going to be 29.5. And this one is going to be 36. And I'm just adding my x's, which gives me negative 45 over 2. And I'm going to add my y values, which gives me negative 45 over 2. Interesting, huh? Let's make sure I didn't make a mistake. Oh, there it is, negative 43 over 2. Got to add right. There we go. So that one is going to be negative 21.5. And this one is going to be negative 22.5. Close. Could have easily made a mistake there. Negative 21.5 and negative 22.5. Hopefully I didn't make an error. And we're looking at 45 over 2. I added my x's. I have to add my y's and get 89 over 2. 89 over 2. And it looks like I've got 22.5. And I get 45.5. And it looks like I'm done. Yep. Oh, Jesus, God almighty. What did I do? Oh, 44.5. How could I miss that? I'm such a spaz. Man, my brain is not working today. All right. 44 plus 15 is 59 over 2. And negative 6 and 82 is 76 over 2. And that is 24.5. Oh, my God, no, it's not. Jeez, where is my brain today? It is just not working. 29.5. And 76 over 2 is 38. Sorry, guys. Just really slow today. I keep doing the same things, which is no excuse. Oh, stop that. No, don't go. There we go. See if I can make the challenge zone at least. All right, so it looks like we've got 118 over 2. The way that I said it should help you understand how I'm adding them. 48 and 8 is 56 over 2. And it looks like we have 59 and 28. And in this one, we've got 61 and 88 and 45. I'm going to go ahead and put the 122 over 2, which is 61. And the 88 and the 45 makes 133, it looks like, over 2. And 133 over 2 is going to be 66.5. Takes a little practice. Let's make sure I didn't do something dumb. Looks okay. 66.5 doubled. Looks good. I think that's right. All right, we've got 121 over 2. Yep. And 117 over 2. don't know why I'm having so much trouble today. This is 60.5, and this one is going to be 58.5. Looks good. And now we're coming up on our end here. Okay, negative 15.6 and negative 17.9 makes negative 33.5. And when I add my y's, I get negative 13.9. Yep. Notice that I am going to take the sum and divide by 2. This is going to be negative. I was expecting to put it in. Negative 16.5. No. 16.75. Wow. I could really mess that up. And this one is going to be negative 6.95. Wow. Okay. Am I going to check my calculator? No. If I mess this up, I deserve to go backwards. Negative 16.75. Negative 6.95. Maybe I'll grab a calculator on another one, but maybe not. All right, I'm going to add the 2.1 with the negative 1.6, which gives me 0.5. And then I have a negative 10.3 and a 12.8. That's going to be 2.5, it looks like. And the midpoint then, remember I'm dividing by 2, sorry. That's 0.25 and 1.25. There's my midpoint. I'm panicking at this point. I can't believe how many errors I've made today. All right, we've got negative 7.7 and 8.4. When you add those together, you get 0.7 and 2.8. Remember, I'm dividing by 2. Don't want to forget that part. When I add my y's, I get 1112.2. And this is going to be 0.35. And this one is going to be 6.1. Sorry, this is taking so long, guys. Some of you may have been interested in seeing the decimals. And sorry, I keep messing them up. I'm going to guess that a lot of you are going to choose to use your calculator, but I'm hoping that you will try to do it in your head first and then get the calculator. The problem is the minute, I guarantee this will happen, the minute you start pushing the buttons, your brain turns off. So you grab the calculator, and you guys probably can't see it. You grab the calculator and you start pushing the buttons, and I promise it's not going to work. So the best thing to do is do it in your head first. That's going to be negative 14. And when I add those, the other ones together, I'm going to get 3.7, it looks like. Now use your calculator and make sure that you're right. There's nothing wrong with that. Remember to divide by 2, because we're adding the x's and dividing by 2. We're adding the y's and dividing by 2. This is negative 14, yes, and this is 3.7. Let's see if that's right. And it is. So when I divide by 2, I get negative 7. When I divide this one by 2, I'm going to get 1.85. So negative 7 and 1.85. Hopefully I don't make any dumb errors after this. All right, 9.9 and negative 8.3. When I add them together, I get 1.6 over 2. And when I add my y's together, I get negative 21.7. Yep. And this one's going to be 0.8 or just 0.8. And this one is going to be negative, let's see, it's going to be 10.85. And I'm going to just put them in, 0.8. negative 10.85. Getting closer. This one is going to be negative 16.5 over 2 for my x's. I'm going to add the y's together and get negative 18.9 over 2. Yes, and yes, easy ones. Negative 8.25. And this one is going to be negative 9.45. And we're just going to put them in there. Negative 8.25. Negative 9.45. Hopefully I read it right. And maybe 2 or 3 more. All right, we've got 13.1 over 2 and a 21.3 over 2. Just double check. 21.3 and 13.1, yeah. And this is going to be 6.55. No. Okay, 6.55, yeah. And this one is going to be 10.65. And I believe that's right. 6.55. 10.65. It's probably easier and safer to grab your calculator, but I hope that you won't. Hope you'll give it a try. Looks like we've got 2 more, darn. All right, so it looks like we're looking at 24.8 over 2. And my y values, it looks like I've got 21.6 over 2. That's going to be 12.4. When I divide this one by 2, I'm going to get 10.8. And we'll put them in. Come on. 12.4 and 10. Oh. 10.8. Almost missed a decimal and almost put them both in the same spot. That would be a problem. And we have our last one. And I'm going to do the last one very carefully just to make sure I don't make any silly errors. It looks like we're looking at 14.9 for 2. And 15 is 18.5 over 2. And 14.9 divided by 2 gives you 7.45. And 18.5 divided by 2 is 9.25. And looks like we're done. I'm just going to double check my addition. That's 14.9, yep. And that is 18.5, yep. And that is correct, 9.25, yep. And 7.45, yep. 9.25. Sorry, it took forever. Basically, I would have preferred to do more integer work, and I hope that you guys will practice your integers and be able to find your midpoint. And good luck. See you back again sometime, and we'll submit before I log out. And bye, everybody.